Hey everybody, welcome back. It's episode 80 of the Common Woman Podcast. We're getting up there in the digits. Almost up to 100. I can't believe it.
Casi.
Here. What? What does that mean?
Almost.
Oh, okay. I got to get up on my Spanish. You know, I totally forgot to introduce us last time because we were all like out of order with how we recorded the podcast. So let me do the proper introductions. I am Cortnie. I'm your host. I'm joined by my amazing bestie,
Melissa.
And we are also virtually joined by a babe.
Hey.
Delayed response.
So there's no introduction on the
I went right into like, so how's your week?
Our guest is introduced, so whatever.
Yeah, y'all know us by now. If you don't know us, now you know.
Now you know.
Now you know. So I hope everybody enjoyed last week's podcast because it was really, really great for us. Yeah. We had a great conversation with Tony. Tony is super supportive. I hope you guys are checking her out, looking her up, listening to her podcast as well, and catching in, getting in on all that information. She's got a lot of good information. And yeah, I feel like I learned a lot. I just got to apply it. That's the only thing.
That's what it's all about. This quarantine is getting the information, actually applying it. I got the information, so I'm gonna apply it soon.
Sooner or later.
There. Yeah, we'll get there. But today we did have carrots. Babe made dinner. We had carrots with our meal.
You made dinner?
I did. I made carrots. I made like a rice with scallions, and then I had marinated short ribs.
Nice.
Very good.
Did you make some additional food for the week?
No.
Okay, that's great.
That's what we got to work on. And it's funny because I heard Tony's voice in my head talking about, don't just cook for that meal. And I was like, well.
Yeah, no. That was it.
That's all right.
But Babe's he's been holding out on me for the whole 15, 16 years we've been together because I didn't know he cooked this good. And it's funny because I was talking to his mom last time we saw her. And I was like, yeah, it's just hard. I would love to cook more, but, I don't have that much time. And she was like, well, you have a cook. I was like, who? And she was talking about Chris, Babe. And I was like,
shame on you.
So then ever since then, he's been whipping up Chef Boyardee in the house. My stepmom called him, what did she call you? Peter Rican.
Peter Rican.
Instead of Peter Luger.
So, I'm going to trademark that. I'm saying it now. I'm trademarking that.
You better hurry up.
So let's see what you, Mel. Anything good? Anything good?
Shit. Just living this quarantine inner discovery life.
Inner discovery life. Yeah. We've been learning a lot about ourselves, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate it. No, I love it. It's fine. It's fine.
I love it too.
So now it's like I said before, it's like I got all the information now and I gotta apply it. Gotta do something with it.
That is the hardest part. That is the hard. Yeah. I feel like acknowledgement is one of the hardest things, and then application.
It is.
Easier. It's like easier to live in ignorance.
It's you know what's funny is I can figure things out all day. It's the applying for me. It's completing the project. I start everything. I complete everything. I have to do that and have to get into this workout. I've been, lazy enough. Time to focus on myself. I haven't been doing that really.
Well, I mean, you also couldn't for a little while, right? So
yeah, but I need to be working on my knee in order to better my knee, and not just stay on my ass all day, all night, and not do anything. So I have a lot of laziness. I have to really There's really no excuse.
It's hard, man. You'd be proud of me today, though. I did that Afro Beats 20-minute workout thing. I mean, I didn't fully do it all the way, but like I did a lot of it, and it felt good.
Nice.
I mean, Naya was doing it with me. It was fun.
So cute. We have to get back into this stuff. We have to.
It's just at the times that they have it now, I have clients, so it's like we're having a whole conversation about stuff that the audience don't care about. I forgot. This feels like a regular Zoom call. Like we chatting with the homies.
Sorry. We'll do this after.
And back to the podcast.
Sorry.
So let's get into the trending topics then.
What time is it? It's trending topics time.
I didn't think he was gonna do it. I was like, what's going on? So I don't know if you all have the Citizen app, but it's like the best thing ever. You get all these notifications about all kinds of crazy stuff that's going around in your neighborhood, sometimes like in the surrounding neighborhoods. And like you could find out, like, you ever wonder when you see like fire trucks or like the police come by one of your neighbor's house? The Citizen app is like the perfect thing for a nosy neighbor because you could just find out. It's usually always on the Citizen app.
Who updates it?
I think it's just people that, that are members of it. When stuff happens, it gets updated.
I don't think it's just that, because they have like real actual news stories and, coverage and stuff like. So I don't think it's just people, but there are people that'll like live feed videos of like when someone gets shot out in the street or whatever.
Wow.
For the 8th time.
It's great. Yeah, so I came across this story, and it's titled "Kids Found Safe After Driving Range Rover from Queens to Delaware." So these kids, it was a 12-year-old who was driving and a 7-year-old passenger, a girl passenger.
A 12-year-old was driving
all the way from Queens to Delaware safely.
This child can drive.
Yo, he was paying attention.
No accident.
He was.
Wow.
And they went all the way to Delaware, and he had a 7-year-old girl with him, just ride or die, right? Well, God forbid die, but they was riding out. So
where were they going?
I don't know, but they made it all the way to Delaware, and the only reason that they got caught is because they tried to use a debit card in a store at a restaurant.
They were Bonnie and Clyde. That's what it was.
Were they relatives?
I think so. I think they might have been cousins, but I don't know.
Yeah.
They crossed over the Verrazano Bridge. Like, I'm afraid to drive over the Verrazano Bridge as an adult. Like, how did they do that? And they found them. I don't know how long it took for them to find them, but that's crazy. Shortly before 9 a.m. is when they were found.
Were they running away?
Oh, wait, no, they took off. That's what I was thinking.
Maybe.
I was like, what if they were trying to get away?
I need to know.
Yeah, I want to know too. But I found that so interesting. Like,
that's insane.
You had a plan. You had debit cards and everything. Like, you went over the Verrazano. You paid toll. You know what I'm saying? Like, you went over. I know.
He's like, are you running from an abusive home? Were you running?
That's the first thing I thought.
Like, what are you doing?
That's the first thing I thought too. I was like, yo, for them to want to do that, like, that didn't sound like just a joyride.
Yeah.
That's insane.
But I hope they're all right. We'll see. So it's time for your weekly COVID update. So Giuliani was hospitalized with COVID. No one cares, I don't think, but prayers for him. Last week, they said that COVID was the leading cause of death in the United States over heart disease. So for that week, it was very interesting. In positive COVID-19 news, there was a 102-year-old woman who survived the 1918 flu pandemic who got COVID and survived. She also survived cancer. So this chick is like Teflon. 102 years old. That's like so crazy. Like, you never know how this virus is going to hit. What?
I said, what is she eating and drinking?
Green juice, I guess. I don't know.
Whiskey.
Oh, yeah, you always say whiskey.
Are they closing restaurants tomorrow?
Is it tomorrow?
I heard, indoor dining is no longer as of tomorrow.
Just in New York City or like in Long Island too?
Probably New York. I think Long Island is different. I haven't heard anything about Long
Island. Interesting.
It begins.
Well, better safe than sorry, I guess.
Yeah.
And then in sad news, Tiny Lister, the guy who played Debo on Friday, he died, and he might have died from COVID. They said he had COVID symptoms before he died.
Yeah.
So 2020 is taking everybody. Everybody. Why is it saying 10 minutes? Oh. So yeah, that's sad. But that's it for your COVID-19 news. I didn't really hear anything going on like in entertainment news or anything like that. Did you guys hear about anything?
No, not really.
Other than the president still thinking that he won the election.
What are you talking about? Of course he won.
Let's not even go there.
Yeah.
So today we are talking about what a healthy relationship looks like. Yeah, we've touched on this a few times, but like I feel like this deserved a full episode because we were having a conversation about it the other day, and it actually came up with one of my clients too. And it's like you tend to base what your thoughts are on a relationship and what you're looking for based on what you see with your parents. And sometimes our parents, they got it right. Sometimes they don't. And that I feel like affects, how we see it. So we thought we should talk about it.
And here we are.
I'm just looking at Mel shaking her head, y'all.
In the podcast, we all... No,
What?
I guess not, huh? Prove my point.
Well, I don't know if I knew what a healthy relationship looked like because from so long I didn't see my parents together. My parents divorced when I was a kid in like elementary school, so I knew of divorce and remarrying, and I saw the relationship that my dad had with my stepmom, which was good, but I never saw how it was for my mom and dad really. Like I remember vaguely like when we were younger and they were together. And it seemed good, but at the same time, it's like there was so much going on that I didn't know about because I was so young. So it's like, I don't know. I didn't really I had to learn what a healthy relationship looked like because I was looking for something else. I was looking for a man to kind of step in and take the role of my dad. And, like I can't do that to somebody. That's too much. Like my dad is my dad. No one else can be that for me. So I think I was looking for that void to be filled from when he left, from the divorce. And I wasn't really looking at the person, the man that was in front of me and what he was bringing or not bringing most of the time to the table.
Yeah.
So I had to learn a lot, through self-reflection and, just the mistakes I was making in every relationship that I was in that wasn't working out. And little by little, it's like after I met Chris or Babe, I always do that. After I met Babe, we kind of found it together and worked it out together, so that's my spiel.
I think the healthy relationships, everyone has their own view on what's healthy. Everyone's going to have their own specific needs. I think the main thing is to be clear as to what it is that you absolutely need from your partner in a relationship, and just make sure that that's communicated properly to be able to move forward.
Absolutely. 100%.
So I feel like I'm just now, sadly enough to be at 38 now, I'm just now trying to figure out what is health, what is a relationship, like a real relationship look like to me, and what's healthy for me and what I need from it. Because I honestly have been just skating on by without even having this concrete knowledge of what it is that I'm looking for. And it's now that I'm realizing that I don't know, and it's now that I'm trying to figure that out. Because I've seen so many different relationships, and I've seen relationships that have lasted 50, 60 years, but they're not relationships that I would ever want to be in or that I find healthy. It's just happened at a time when people just didn't break apart.
Right.
Then there's other relationships that is good, I guess, enough for the two. But again, I find things in the relationship that I would want no part of. So I don't feel like I've fully seen ever of a healthy functioning relationship that I would absolutely put myself in, honestly. Not to say I've seen horrible, but like, just things that I know I couldn't live with.
Right.
So I've never really seen anything to me to idolize and to say that to me is healthy and that's what I want. Never seen it. So now is when I'm trying to figure out what I can and cannot live with and without. And
yeah, and that's where it starts. It starts with knowing exactly what you want. Because you can't really get into a relationship with someone if you don't know what you want, because it's there in the beginning that you talk about those things and match up your common goals. And I think I've said it like a million times before that like you don't have to have everything exactly the same in terms of what you want, but there are core things that have to match up that are very important in the foundation building blocks to your relationship. And one of the most important things is being able to be flexible and grow together. Like, because I think one of your sister-in-law, she DM'd us and was talking about how things change, life changes. And as you're married and you grow, or even if you're just dating for a very long time, your needs change, life changes, and you have to be able to adapt and adjust with what life throws. And you go through different changes yourself, you go through different moods. So it's like, you have to have that solid foundation of like knowing what you're in for, and knowing that like when you're low, your partner is going to be able to support you through that, and understand that there's something going on, understand that you're going through something. And then when that time comes for them, you'll be there to do the same, and that's something that you learn over time with your partner. And why is it telling me to upgrade? Sorry, I'm getting messages from Zoom saying running out of time to upgrade, but I think you have to pay if you upgrade. But anyway, so this might cut off. Yeah, so that talk is so important. Like I was talking to one of my clients and he was saying about how he feels like he can't, he doesn't feel like he'll ever have everything he wants, because he's got all these things going on in his life, like owning a business, having the house, the kids, everything. He's married, but he's having issues with his life and feels like he doesn't have everything he wants on the relationship end. And I was like, but you can. Like, that's not something that can't happen. Like, but there's things that need to take place. There's conversations that need to take place so that you can understand and know that this person is for these things that you're for. And he was like, you know what? I never had that discussion with my wife. Like, he's never talked about it with her. And he's like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk to her about it and see where she's at. Because there's things that I want to do. And I don't know what her 5-year plan is. So it's like, you got to find and make sure that you have that compatibility.
I never understood that question. What's
the
your
5-year plan?
I don't have an answer for that. To continue having a job? I don't. Hopefully to be in a relationship. How the fuck do you answer that?
I think it's really just to
what
find
do you
out,
like, do?
Yeah, like what are your future goals? Like, obviously nobody knows what you're gonna do in 5 years, but like if you could see yourself in 5 years, where would you want to be? Like, where do you want your business to grow to? Where do you want to live? How many kids do you want to have? Do you see yourself being married? Those kind of things, Do you want to stay at that job you're in or move somewhere else?
So that's it. It's like, no, I'm just gonna chill here.
No, you hope for things, but just like, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, back to what you were saying. So I don't know, did having a child change the dynamic of things?
It changed only because we had to like reprioritize things in our lives. Like we had to make sure that we made time for each other and ourselves separately. Because when you have a kid, they become number one priority, and it's easy to lose yourself, which I definitely did for a very long time, and lose your marriage a little bit. Like, and that's exactly what's happening with my client. You know, they have 2 kids, and it's like everything is about them, or like their jobs and everything. So yeah, having a kid does change that dynamic. It changes what your focus is and what you're working towards, and you know, things like that. So finding that balance of being a spouse and being a parent and being whatever else you are, like whether you own a business, whether you're, you know, just a full-time employee or whatever you're doing, you have to find that delicate balance, and it's not easy. I'm still trying to find it. But like, just, you know, having that grace for each other is so important, because like I said, I went through that time where I was feeling like I was just losing myself in being a mother, and you know, Babe was giving me that grace of like figuring that all out, you know, and thankfully he didn't run away, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure it wasn't easy on the other end, like for the time where like I wasn't feeling as sexual, or I wasn't feeling very sexy, you know. There's so many different changes just as being a woman and becoming a mother that changes things, and finding that new dynamic. And I'm sure there's things that change for the men too. Excuse me, but I can't speak to that. Only Babe can speak to that.
That was your cue.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm not talking about it.
It's basically similar. It's
you
similar
an LOL via text. That's what I do to avoid questions I don't feel like answering. LOL.
You gotta stretch out the LOL sometimes. But no, it's similar, and you know, like to what you said, it's you have to get used to the other person, the way they change, you know, because it's not the same as before. The time is definitely not the same. You know, even the amount of time you see the person and the things that you do are totally different from what you were doing in the past. You didn't have to, you know, worry about another person so much. A little one that doesn't do anything, you know, you have to take all that into account.
Yeah, that's very true. I didn't pay attention to anything that Babe just said because I was too busy looking at that message.
So what I was saying is that it's similar to what you were saying, that you have to get, you know, used to the way the person changes, because the other person changes, and you go through, I guess, your own thing too. You gotta, if you've never had a child before or anything, that's a big change. And the things that change between the two of you, because you have to, you know, give your attention in a different way. It's a big difference. It's a big change, you know?
Yeah, it is. And I think also too that men don't really get that recognition for the change that goes on for them in marriage and in when you have a kid. It's always kind of like focused on like the female and the changes that the female goes through, but they you know, of course it affects them too differently.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about what is a healthy relationship for you, something that you can also think about is, how do you feel when you're around that person? Do you feel intimidated? Do you feel supported? Do you feel heard and seen? Because a lot of people are in relationships and long-term relationships where they feel like their partner doesn't even recognize or see anything. Like, you know, you'll do things for them, or you just are a certain way with them, and you don't get that appreciation. Like, oh, Babe, thank you so much. I appreciate that you did, you know, this for me, or that you thought of me in this way, and you know, remembered something that's important to me, or, you know, stuff like that. Just the things that go unnoticed. And, you know, because when that starts happening, then your eyes start to wander towards the people who are showing you that attention and showing you that appreciation.
Yeah, I feel like That's why it's so important to be as authentic as possible from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times we put this facade up when we first get together and we make it, you know, like it's Disneyland over here.
Right.
You know, but as soon as it gets locked down and comfortable, all of a sudden it turns into something else, like a county fair, and you don't like the county fair. It wasn't for you.
The cheap rides over there.
It was never for you. You just want the Disneyland that was portrayed, you know, it was portrayed to be.
Right.
You know, so I think there was a lot of breakups during this COVID that people are actually having to spend a lot of time together.
Girl,
you have to be just yourself the entire time, and just really figure out if you two are really good together.
Exactly.
Really to the core.
And it's there's really no point in putting up a facade, because that's exhausting. Like, how long are you going to keep this up for? You know what I'm saying? Like, just be real. And it's better to be real and then find the person who really truly accepts you for who you are. And that's another thing that you have to look for. Like, darn it, I lost my train of thought. Flaws. No one is perfect. So if you're going into it thinking that relationships are perfect, or thinking that this person is perfect, no, they're not. They have flaws just like you do. And it's a matter of weighing the flaws in terms of what you can deal with and what you can't deal with. So it's like what you were saying before, like you've never seen like a relationship that would work perfectly for you. So there's flaws that you see in other people's relationships with the individual people. And it's like, nah, that's not for me. I can't deal with it. But the person in that relationship might feel like, all right, I don't like that, but it's something that I can deal with. And it's something that's not detrimental to our relationship. And that's really what it's about, finding that balance of what you can tolerate and what you can't, because none of us are going to get it right, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like with my client, I keep using my client, hopefully he doesn't, you know, I'm not saying anything that's identifying about him. So, you know, he feels like his wife doesn't like know his love language, and his love language is acknowledgement. So kind of like words of affirmation. And, you know, she's aware that that's it, but she's not giving it to him. And she's like, you know, I know this is an issue, but that's it. So it's like, you know, what do you do with that? Yeah, it's like, what do you do with
basically.
that? So, you know, finding out what is important to your partner, finding out the way that they need to be loved. You know, we've said it several times. It's so important, but also making sure that your partner knows how you need to be loved. And if they're even capable of loving you that way, because sometimes the way that you want to be loved is not the way that that person is capable of showing you love. So then you know that then you had to move on from that person. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It's just, that's just not the person for you. Because if you're not getting loved the way that you need to be loved, then you're not going to feel fulfilled in your relationship. It's going to put like a, you know, a damper on things in your life, and it's going to plague your relationship. And it doesn't just get better, you know, because it takes two people in a relationship. So there's that.
Like one of mine is words of affirmation. So I can't work with someone whose their main is like acts of service. I can do it, but your acts of service aren't going to mean as much to me.
Right.
I'll acknowledge it, but it's not going to be like, I'm not going to feel it like to the core, because it's just not my thing. Like, oh, that you know, you got me a gift. That's great. I haven't seen you in 2.5 weeks. That's like quality time is another one. So like, that's going to be a problem for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's great that you did the flowers, though. You took me to a fancy dinner, but I'm not getting the time that I need out of this.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. It's that love language is really important.
It really is. And that's why communication is so important, because it's only through communication that you're able to learn what someone else's love language is and how you can communicate to your partner what your love language is. So if you're having a hard time communicating with someone that you're dating or someone you're thinking about dating, then that's something that really needs to be considered, because it could just be in the beginning, a communication issue that can be worked out, because there's some people who just aren't used to communicating in certain ways, or maybe they didn't see that type of communication style in their household growing up. And it's just a matter of like, I guess, a learning curve maybe, or just like working that out. And it can be worked out as long as it's something that they want to work out. But if it's something that they don't want to work out, then, you know, what you see is what you get. And I think a lot of us see things and choose to ignore it and think that maybe it'll get better, you know, and we'll just kind of wait around and hope. And I told my client this, I was like, wait and see never usually works in this aspect. There are some times where wait and see does work, like when you're dealing with like going through something and you're not necessarily waiting and seeing, you're waiting and supporting until they get through on the other side. So, you know, there's just so many things. There's so many things.
Yeah, you can't wait forever either.
You can't wait forever either. Yeah, because also even when you're in a committed relationship and you go through something and maybe your partner is not behaving the way that they normally do, if their behavior turns into a toxic situation and it's negatively affecting you for a prolonged period of time, then there's nothing saying that you have to stay there and deal with it, you know, especially if there's no, like, you don't see this changing at all, you know, that there's no reason to stay there and get to, you know, leave yourself susceptible for that type of toxicity. Like, that's not healthy for you either. So you also have to prioritize yourself, but also, you know, keep in mind the person that you're dealing with and what they're dealing with, and a whole lot of mental gymnastics.
Weighing out your options, basically, you know, you gotta see if it's gonna work out or not, basically.
And you know what? It's like, I think that people sometimes don't realize the work that's involved in maintaining and finding and being in a healthy relationship. It takes work. It's not like it's rewarding work if you're with the right person. I'm sure I said that a million times, but it takes work. It takes work collectively. It takes work individually. And, you know, it's something that you have to put in work, just like anything in life. We lost Babe. Hold on,
down.
He's back.
And down.
Where'd you go, Babe? He's still connecting. What happened?
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
Well, I'm glad you're back.
I'm back.
But were you about to say something?
No.
Another thing, you know what, let me get to the polls, actually, because a lot of the stuff I'm saying, a lot of our listeners were contributing as well. So let's check out the poll, which we haven't done in so long. So thank you to everybody who participated. Okay. Do you feel like you know what a healthy relationship looks like? 92% said yes and 8% said no. I really thought more people were going to say no.
Yeah,
I didn't contribute.
So what are some examples of a healthy relationship? So communication, which we were just talking about, having your life together before you take on someone else. What are your thoughts on that?
When is your life going to be together? It's never together because it's a work in progress.
Right. And I think I partially agree with it, but I partially disagree, because you, like you said, you're never going to have it all together. I think part of it is recognizing some things that you might need to do or work on and starting the process, but you don't have to be there, because sometimes part of your process is worked through with your partner, because your partner helps you to, you know, improve on things and grow, and, you know, part of that process of pointing things out to you that you might not have noticed. You know,
I think it just really needs to be emotionally available.
Yes.
It's important. Like, if you're in the middle of some shit, leave people alone. Don't date.
Girl, preach.
Get your shit together. If you're in the middle of divorce, get your divorce, please.
Mm-hmm.
Don't bring no one through no shit. Don't bring it through no shit.
Yeah.
You know?
But that, unfortunately, you know, people don't do it that way.
They don't, because they're selfish and they just want attention. And that's fine. But be clear as to where you are, because someone might be in a similar situation and need that same, you know, attention and affection. But not everyone is that. So be fucking clear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That selfishness, you're right. Because a lot of people,
I've come into so many selfish men. It's really ridiculous. And it's like, well, why did you bother dating me? If you know that I'm looking to get into a relationship and you are not in that space because of whatever drama but be fucking clear from jump. Be clear.
Yep.
Everyone is so selfish. And I hate that, like, I have to hang on to every fucking word you say to be able to decode. Because the truth is just in the mix of some trash. And it's like, I gotta dive in.
All in, yo.
Write out the equations and everything.
I mean, it's so exhausting. I think it's so much harder to get into some shit the older you get. Because the shorter fuse and attention span you have for the bullshit.
That's
right.
True. That is true.
Right.
It's like, okay, I can't.
And do you feel like you can see it faster too?
You can say, I mean, yeah, because you learn how to read the language, but it's annoying. It's like, as soon as you take a break, you done miss things, and then you sit there and you're like, fuck, I missed that. You know, because like, I want to believe. The sad thing is that you really, really want to take people that you first meet at face value, and you want to do the whole, I trust you till you fuck up. But really, I'm realizing for me that I don't trust you. And you just now need to, like, from the beginning, prove yourself and build that trust with me. Because I'm tired of giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, and I have to play word gymnastics and go through the bullshit, and I'm tired of it. So now we're doing shit different. So now you're not going to start with trust with me. Sorry, I'm not going to really believe much of what you say until you show me that you're a trustworthy person and you mean what you say. Yeah, and that's what we're doing going forward.
That trust has to be earned. Yep.
Yeah, because I was giving it. I wanted to give it. I was always taught, you trust someone until now it's not. It's not that. Not for me, at least.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's an important part of building a healthy relationship. Letting them earn that trust. A very good point, Mel. So yeah, good communication, healthy arguments, not taking everything too seriously. I thought that was so good, because healthy arguments is like, I don't think people like think about it like that. Like, I think people think of healthy relationships as you never argue. Then there's something wrong with you. That means that your relationship is not healthy if you're not arguing.
Somebody's lying in that relationship.
Yeah, because we're two humans in one space usually, and it's like you're going to clash on stuff. You have different thoughts, you have different opinions and ideas and whatever, so it's not always going to be like, okay, yes, yeah, that's great, wonderful. No, it's never. But then sometimes I feel like in those disagreements, in those healthy arguments, is when you grow. It's when you grow as a person, it's when you grow as a couple, because you learn something through it, hopefully. You know, hopefully.
Yep.
And not taking everything too seriously. I want to call that a woman problem. But I don't know. I don't know if that's too harsh. I don't know. Because I don't know if I've ever heard. Have you ever heard of a man taking things too seriously?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. It goes both ways. It goes both ways.
It has to. It's never all 100.
But again, it really depends on the individual. What is so important? There's triggers. You might have triggered something that had nothing to do with you. And now they took it way hard And that's a battle until you find out that triggered something else that's a problem within them. There's a lot.
Right.
We're crazy.
Are.
Crazy.
The whole of us are.
Yeah,
we really are.
It could have nothing. You will be so confused. It could have a trigger to like a childhood thing, and you won't know.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is I may not know.
That's what's even crazier.
And so, yeah, you kind of learn like certain things. I guess you learn certain things that you just cannot touch with a partner. But you'll hold on to it a lot longer than you should. Right.
Yep. And that's why it's so important to find someone who you feel safe with, who you feel like you can confide in, and that information is safe with them, and that they're not going to use it.
Never felt safe with a man. I did one time. Well, I did a few times, and they broke that. And so now I feel like it's at an older age. Sometimes it's just really, it makes it so much harder. Now it's like I feel safe with no one, but no one's really put the effort into to change that, honestly. So that's why.
Yeah, man. Safety is not easy to find, but it's so vital. So vital. Compromise, respect, and love. Very, 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 very important. I think obviously compromise, because like I said before, we're two humans, you know, you gotta find that compromise. It can't always be 100%. I was gonna take on a couple, and one of the people in the couple was like, you have the problem, you need this, you need therapy, I don't. I was like, okay, that is a problem right there. And it's sad because the person knew that, the other person who was deemed the problem knew that, you know, this was a problem for this other person. It was like, but they're willing to stay in it anyway and will do anything. So it's just really interesting, you know, but compromise is important to keep your healthy relationship healthy and growing. Respect.
Yeah, I was just gonna say respect has to be the number one. Has to be the number one.
Yeah, because I think that respect is where all the other stuff breathes from. Like, you have to respect your partner in order to like be willing to communicate in a healthy way with them. Like, you have to respect your partner in order to want to compromise with them so that you both can be happy. You know? And one of the points that I was going to bring up, which is why I wanted to go to these responses, is conflict. How do you handle conflict? I think it's important to see and observe how the person that your prospect or whatever in a relationship, how they handle conflict. Because if you see how they handle conflict outside of your relationship, you can also get a key as to how they're going to handle it interpersonally between the two of y'all. So that's really important to notice. Like, do they completely lose their cool? Like, can they not manage that at all? Or are they working on it? Or,
you know what's funny? I dated someone that runs from conflict, cannot handle the conversation, and it's horrible, and it's like, okay, I can't date you. Then I found it funny that I dealt with someone else who holds me so accountable, but is so, I feel like when they talk to me about things, they come off aggressive because I'm sensitive Nancy. And so they come off aggressive. And when they come off aggressive, I shut down and I can't communicate. I start like getting nervous, and I have to wait until like I'm cool and I have my thoughts together, and then I try to adjust it. But then because I didn't do it immediately, it's a problem. It's insane.
Yeah. And sometimes I wonder if people can pick up on stuff like that and they use that as like a defense mechanism. Like, especially if you're coming at them with something, then they flip that around and be like, aggressive with
Yeah.
you so that you'll completely forget the point that you were making that was right in the first place.
Mm-hmm. I'm
You
sure they
know?
do.
No, but it's like let's say I did something.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, well, why would you do that? And it's not like a horrible thing, but it's not a good thing. And it's like, well, why would you do that? And it's like,
So you don't like the confrontation.
I don't like it. No, you can't make me feel like I'm in trouble. Because if I feel like I'm in trouble, I shut down.
Right.
If you talk to me, I will talk about it, cool. But if you come at me like I'm in trouble, I'm done. I shut down.
Yeah.
I went off.
Yeah.
I went off. It's interesting.
I think a lot of people feel that way too.
Or I have a hard time communicating it if it puts me in a bad light and I know it. Like I know I did something that puts me in a bad light and I don't like being in a bad light. So I have a hard time explaining it and making myself look just as bad as what I did, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I've learned all of this in the past COVID months about myself.
Yeah.
That's deep, yo.
So
that is deep. That is very deep.
Nothing like that. Dead air, huh? Savor it.
So somebody else said open communication, shared respect, partnership. Partnership is so important. A lot of people are in relationships where they do not have a partner. And a lot of things are solely on them, or a lot of things are solely on the other person. And it's like not equal footing.
I feel like that shows out to a lot of people once they have children together.
Yep.
Because I think that obviously a child changes the dynamic of a relationship. And I feel like as much as you want it to be equal footing between each parent, there's always one that's more of the hands-on, so just more of it. And that can start a conflict where now one resents the other for not being what they thought they were going to be in this situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because how do you really plan that? How do you know what type of parent you're going to be? Like that's really like just, there's no, it's just open water in that arena.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to have that adaptability, that flexibility with each of you in the relationship, because it's like, even if you do set out those expectations of like what you're going to do, what the other person's going to do, things change so much when you have a baby. And as they grow, it's like, you never know what the next day is going to bring for you. So it's like, you have to be able to like move together, like a school of fish. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that was deep, dude.
you have to be able to move together, because if you're moving in opposite directions, then it's not going to work. But if you're able to kind of find that wave together and ride it together, then that's where you can work. So yeah, very true, Mel. Very true. Partnership. And part of partnership is knowing when to ask when you need more, and knowing when to give when your partner's asking, you know? So being sensitive to that. And encouraging the other to do better, be better, and grow. Yes, girl, yes. The person that you're with should inspire you to be a better person. We're all working on, you know, growing, and well, not all of us, most of us. I don't even know if it's most of us. Some people out here are working on trying to be better, striving for better. I know us here on this podcast are, and a lot of you who are listening are. And you know, I forgot what I was gonna say. But oh yeah,
is needed.
Inspiring you. Yeah, they should inspire you to be better and not make you feel like you're a horrible person. Because a lot of times, especially in conflict, this is where it comes in, where you got to pay attention to how they handle conflict. Sometimes when people are having that conflict, they will tear down the other person instead of building up the other person. And, you know, respect is another thing that feeds into conflicts. If you're in a conflict with your partner, and y'all are tearing each other down, like it can't go that way. Like you have to, even in conflict, you have to maintain your respect level for that person and know that there's lines that you do not cross. You know, like I know people who will go for the jugular, like when there's something that goes on and you're not happy with your partner, you will go for the absolute worst possible thing that you could say to that person. But when you do that, it cuts deep and those scars stay and it affects your relationship negatively. So it's like you have to maintain that level of respect and don't go there.
I always say is if you're getting too heated and you know yourself, you know it's about to go down, go for a walk or a drive. Take a minute to just cool it down, get your thoughts together so you can come back and actually communicate. Because I've said it in so many relationships and they've never listened to me. You cannot take words back. Once they come out of your mouth, you can never take it back. And they will never be forgotten. We'll let it go, but it'll never be forgotten.
So
it's always good to take a minute. Now, if you got to say some mean, truthful shit after you say it, then you do it. But because it's true and it needs to be said.
But yes, like you said, there's a time and place for that.
Unhealthy asshole shit below the belt. Don't do it. Just call your friend and let it out.
Get that out.
You know what this mama boy motherfucker did? Let it out. Yes. My friend knows that's a mama boy. Maybe you don't need to tell him. Maybe you tell him the way.
He's a mama's boy. Self-awareness too is very key because it keeps you accountable in your relationship. Because there's, a lot of accountability involved in conflict when your partner doesn't agree with something that's going on. It's like, you got to really examine and acknowledge if there's truth to that, and if you're in a healthy relationship and you're having a healthy argument and your partner is bringing something to you, then you should know that they wouldn't bring it to you unless it was really something that's important and that needs to be pointed out. So it's like, give them that respect of considering it and acknowledging where it's true for you. So
I feel like part of the respect is being able to listen to even just the most minute thing, whether you might think it is the dumbest thing you've ever fucking heard in your life. Respect is still listening and not downplaying it, and just address it so it goes away. Just address it. Because if you're just gonna be an asshole, you're just creating more and more problems.
Exactly. It's gonna breed that resentment. You don't want to do that. And yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking through my notes. I can't remember what else. I'm tired. Checking in with your partner. And you know what? When you've been with someone for a long time, or even if it hasn't been that long, it's so important to check in with your partner and see where they're at, see what they need, see if there's anything that can be improved upon. It's kind of like, how you get evaluated at work periodically. You got to check in, make sure everything's good. Like, how you feeling? You feeling good with the way things are going? You happy? Like, am I still making you happy? You still love me? Like, we good?
How was your performance for this quarter?
So I think it's so important, and I've done this so many times. I think there's nothing wrong with it. Just asking, is there anything that you need from me that you feel that I don't give you?
Yes.
Or do I do like too much of something that you don't like? Like, just let's open that up.
Yes. And be open to receive that answer. Try not to be too defensive. Because a lot of us can't handle that kind of constructive criticism. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I had someone I was dating get annoyed with me because I don't know if I would say I wasn't honest, but I wasn't forthcoming with certain things. But it's like, yo, okay, we're not a couple, we're dating. So I don't know that you want to know that you're in a boxing match with like 3 people. And I don't know that you want to hear, like, I don't know that you want me to, like, you know, oh, how was your day? Oh, my day was good. Yours? I don't know that you want me to say, oh, my day was good. I had a date today. I don't know that you want me to say that. Like, I'll say it if that's what you want. It was a whole big thing. It was a whole big thing.
Like, what level of honesty do you really want?
Yeah.
So now
how much you really want to know?
I can openly speak. I had a date today. It was cool. That's where you live. That's what you want to hear. I respect. I don't want to hear that. I just want to know that if it goes forward and we decide to lock it down, that you cut that off.
Exactly.
And everyone's different. Some people want to know like so much shit throughout the process. It's like, we never have guests.
It's like, why would you want to know that though? Like,
I would think that would turn you off. That shit would turn me off.
Yeah.
But granted, I'm not going to stop because you're not a man. So, I mean, I'm trying to find someone here.
Oh, man. Yeah. But even if, like, what I was saying in the beginning, that, like, we look at our parents and, you know, whatever influences we had growing up in terms of what we see as healthy or unhealthy, even if you see nothing but unhealthy, it doesn't mean that that has to be for you. You know, like, you can have it and you can find that person to build that healthy relationship with. Like, you can be the one to break that cycle within your family, you know, and create healthy relationships and show your children healthy relationships. And even if you feel, go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, even if you feel like the relationship you're currently in is not healthy right now, it's possible to fix it if you are with the right person. It could be just a matter of tweaking some things here and there, communicating in a different way here or there, you know, like adjusting your response to your partner's needs or whatever. It could be anything. But a lot of times people are in relationships and unhappy and dealing with so much and not communicating that to their partner in a way that they are receiving it, or just not communicating it at all. And, you know, you can't always control how a partner receives what you give to them either, but at least you can try. And then in that response, you could see if they're still worth it, if they're not accepting what you're saying, if they're like resistant to whatever you're sharing with them and they don't want to work with you, then that's a major thing that you'll have to consider going forward if you want to still be with this person. But if they're like, all right, thank you for sharing that with me. I didn't know what was going on. I'm sorry that I was like not aware, or, you know, I hear you on that, but I have my opinions on this. Maybe we could try this, or, you know, like, let's work on this going forward, having that collaborative, like, feel to it, then you know that you can work through it and you can stay with this person. But it starts with the communication.
I feel like it's really, really, really important to be honest with yourself throughout the entire process, because dating is hard. Dating can be 100% trash. You meet a lot of people that are not, you know, good for you. And so it's like, you'll meet someone and it'll be okay. It'll be just okay. But there's more things that you dislike than you do like. But you decide, you know, you'll end up being like, well, I hate dating. This is the closest I've come to decent. I'll ride this train. But that's never, at the end of the day, that's never going to ultimately work, because whatever really isn't working for you in the beginning is not going to work for you in the middle or the end. So it's really being so honest with yourself and actually seeing with that truth, like, okay, you know what? This person does this and this and that doesn't align with me, I'm not just going to waste my time and entertain just so I'm not alone.
Right.
I feel like
right.
being scares a lot of people. So.
Yeah. Don't settle. Don't settle. You want this for a reason.
End up divorced. You'll end up divorced. What's the point? Like that's expensive and a heartbreak. You know?
Exactly.
It's affirmation time.
The affirmation for the week. I will communicate effectively to ensure my partner and I remain on a healthy path as one.
All right. Yes. Thanks, Mel. Sorry, guys. We had to record everything separately at the end because we had some technical difficulties with Zoom. So we're just going to end the podcast here. Thank you guys so much for listening and sticking it out with us every week. We hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week next week. Talk to you soon. Bye. Bye.
Thank you for listening.
If you are enjoying the Common Woman podcast and would like to support, please like, subscribe, and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you would like to contact the Common Woman podcast, you can email us at thecommonwomanpodcast@gmail.com or reach out to us on social media on Instagram @The Common Woman Podcast and on Twitter @Common Woman Pod. Thank you for your support.